On today's show, we've got injury updates after the Ottawa Senators return to the ice for practice.
And we'll preview tomorrow night's game up against the New Jersey Devils.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football this season on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Today is Friday, January 30th, and Pilsy, the Ottawa Senators got absolutely no help yesterday on the out-of-town scoreboard.
Why does the out-of-town scoreboard have to be like this, Ross? There were so many games that could have gone the Senators' way, and close one-goal games, teams tying it up or getting the win in regulation, and then getting to overtime when we didn't want it. Like, basically, so many of the scenarios were like, well, that's worst-case scenario.
But that it is, and it does suck. And the early slate especially was brutal. 0 for 7 if you're keeping track of what every Senators fan needed or wanted to happen. But when you look at it, like we have with the table we made, the road to the Olympic break, there's a few teams that have stumbled. And at this point, it's just about getting a little bit closer, a little bit closer. Now, the problem is that they're getting closer to the teams that are still out of a playoff spot. The bar keeps being raised when it comes to the 8 teams that are currently qualifying for the Stanley Cup playoffs. When you look at the Montreal Canadiens and the Boston Bruins, both 2-0 this week. You look at the Buffalo Sabres, 2-0, both of their wins in regulation as well. But this is where it gets a little bit better. The Panthers are 0-2, the Flyers are 0-2, the Leafs are 0-2. So at least just get a little bit closer. Get ahead of a few teams, look in the rearview mirror behind you, and the Senators are going to have another opportunity to do it themselves tomorrow night. Because in the last 2 wins, sure, they were against good teams, but they were both Western teams. Now you're looking at the Devils, who you already have a game in hand on, and you're going to match up against them. You're 1 point back. This is an enormous game for the Senators coming up.
It's huge, yeah, and obviously you want help from the out-of-town scoreboard, but at the end of the day, you got to look in the mirror and be like, did we do enough to help ourselves? And if you're not helping yourself, you can't expect that the help from others is going to be enough to get you where you want to go. That's a good little life lesson there, Ross, mixed in there. But what's up with the Colorado Avalanche? Like, they just they ruined the validation we had beating them 5-2 by getting
you think so?
On 7-3 by the Montreal Canadiens. I mean, a little bit, Ross. Like, it would have been, how great would it have felt for the Sens to beat the Avs 5-2, and then the Avs go into Montreal and beat them? Doesn't even matter what score, but at least in regulation. Then we could be at least like, hey, we beat the Avs. The Habs couldn't, but the Habs took care of them even more easily. Now, second half of a back-to-back, sure, but come on.
Yeah. No, it stunk, and their power play is so bad. You talk about Avalanche fans saying, oh, if we had power plays, maybe we would have gotten a win against Ottawa. Well, Sens PK is brutal, sure. Their power play was awful. They gave up a shorthanded goal in the first period after, I mean, that was just some of the worst hockey I've seen them play all season. It was really, really tough to watch. But, Pilsy, that's not the first time. It happened with Vegas as well. It did take overtime for Montreal to get that win, but Vegas comes into Ottawa, we spanked them, and then they go to Montreal and they lose. But both those teams did the Eastern Canadian swing, and both of them beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. So at least there's that. But yeah, I'm with you. It does kind of stink up the joint a little bit, the fact that Montreal wasn't able to lay an egg. That team is just relentless. It is really frustrating if you're a fan of another team. With that win, Montreal now draws to within 1 regulation win of the Senators, yet they're 10 points up. So that's just frustrating. And they've got an elite road record on top of that. They're 14-6-6 on the road this year. So you can't even say it's always been the Bell Center magic this year for them. Meanwhile, the Boston Bruins, they beat the wheels off of the Philadelphia Flyers last night. 5-2 was the final score there. The Bruins
6-3.
Oh,
was
really?
the final score there.
Sorry, 5-2 last time I looked at it.
And Ross, the Flyers outshot them 36-27, and that was the result of the game.
Don't tell me Corpy was in that. There's no way.
No, it was Swayman.
Yeah. Okay. Do they play again before the outdoor game? The answer is no. The next game that the Boston Bruins are playing is going to be in Tampa at Raymond James Stadium. So,
snowy Tampa Bay, Florida.
You know what? It's actually going to snow in Tampa tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's insane.
And the fact that it's concurrent with the outdoor game is also outrageous, because I don't know when the last time it snowed in Tampa is. Maybe our boots on the ground reporters, Patty and Richard Levitan, can help us out with the answer to that question. But we're all lightning in that game, because the Bruins are 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. And they're still just in a wild card spot because Buffalo has won 5 straight again. This is outrageous.
Yeah, the Sabres are such a wagon. It's nuts. Alex Lyon, 10 straight wins, Ross. 10 straight wins.
So you know what I'm going to say then? The Sens have 29 games left. If they go 29-0, they will make the playoffs.
Yep, I'm with you. 29-0. I think that gets it done.
Senators were back on the ice at practice after they had their annual red, black, and gold gala last night, presented by our friends at Full Script. And always a great night. We were lucky enough to be there last year. We were taken care of way too well last year.
Yeah.
We're still so thankful that the Senators extended that invitation. We had a blast. Couldn't make it this year just with the timing. But we do have our trip booked to Ottawa. March 14th, we'll be there against the Ducks for sure. I'm sticking around. Pilsy's TBD for Sunday, but we're going to make sure that Saturday game, we get some good vibes going. Back boots on the ground at the CTC. Plenty of hockey between now and then, though. And we do want to mention some updates from practice today, including Stephen Halliday back skating. We heard it was a possibility yesterday. Awesome that he's back on the ice, because this is a guy who is really catching his stride in playing a more limited role, but still being able to produce offense. So undetermined whether he will be in the lineup tomorrow, but he was skating today. So that was great to see.
Yeah, definitely great to see, especially with, head injury, possible concussion stuff going on. You never want to see that linger or keep a guy from at least getting on the ice. So we're happy to see that Big Red is doing better.
And as he comes back in the lineup, look, it seems like it was just a little bump and bruise, but Lars Eller kept going to the bench today at practice and was being attended to by training staff. I don't know if it was a stinger or what the case was, but we'll be keeping an eye on his status, obviously, not only for the next few days, but he's going to be obviously a big part of Team Denmark at the Olympics coming up. And whenever an Olympian gets hurt, whether it's just a little nick or long-term, it does catch everybody's attention. And that will also have an impact in the Senators game tomorrow, because New Jersey Devils star Jack Hughes was injured in their last game, left and did not return. And he's going to get more imaging done today, but his status is unknown for tomorrow. I think Sheldon Keefe's nose grew a little bit when that was said, because there's no way that this guy is going to go from imaging to a flight to Ottawa in an hour.
Yeah, I don't think so, Ross. And also the fact that the Devils are kind of punting this season, at least it seems that way with Palat out. We'll look at their lineup, a couple other key injuries there as well. And I think Jack Hughes is probably at the point where the Olympics are close enough that he's going to want to say, let's play it safe here and not push it. So let's hope that's the case.
Well, let's see. Hey, get well soon, Jack, but take your time.
Not too soon.
Take your time. Take your time.
Get well soon, but take your time doing it.
Take your time doing it. Nope. Travis Green was not asked about Linus Ullmark today. Probably a little fatigue among the media. They've been asking when he's returning forever, and he's given the same answer. He'll return when he's ready. He was out there again skating today. Some unusual training tools. He had the horse blinders on at one point, which I get it. You want to train the eyes, get back in it. But if you're looking at a game to plop Linus Ullmark in, initially we had said maybe a road game would be the best, but man, you look at his career numbers against the New Jersey Devils. Why wouldn't you want to get him in for this game? He's 12-5-0 with a .926 save percentage in his career against New Jersey.
Yeah, I'm at the point now, Ross. I fought the good fight and convinced everyone, the Senators included. I like to credit myself that it was better to start Reimer or not Linus Allmark in the Avs game. And look, they won that game. So credit to me. Great take. So now I'm at the point, Ross, where I think you should, whenever he's ready, you should be putting Linus Allmark in this game. It's not really as big of a deal to wait now. And I'd like to see him play at least 2 games before the Olympic break, because let's say if he only plays 1, or if he's really not ready and doesn't play any, you're adding 3 extra weeks onto hit the last time he's played an NHL game. And I know you can practice, but practice only does you so much. If you're a goalie, there's so many game situations, timing, reads, things that you need to be in the game to be feeling and to be getting back to where you need to be. So just practicing it isn't gonna do what he needs, in my opinion.
And if he does come back tomorrow, the ovation will be something special. In the final home game before the Olympic break, the Senators will then get out on a 3-game road trip in Pittsburgh, Carolina, and Philadelphia. It has been a light week in terms of games for the Senators. Only 2 this week, the Wednesday, Saturday special. And I guess if you want to be a hero and say the week actually starts on Sunday, sure, they played against Vegas, but I'm a Monday to Saturday guy for my weeks, like Monday to Sunday, actually. Nice. I just forgot Sunday. It just doesn't exist. God's day. And we are all just waiting for the next Senators game. But I think that this would be a great situation with a rested team, a confident team, and at home. Let's see if Linus Allmark's ready to go. But both teams have to be ready to go. We mentioned they're really tight together in the standings, and both teams are watching everyone above them continue to win. So what needs to happen for a Senators victory? Let's get into our full preview next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel's making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to whistle. And one of my favorite things to do for the Super Bowl is bet the prop bets. They've got a heads or tails bet. Bet the coin toss to win a share of $1 million bonus bets plus $3 million bonus spins. So go to FanDuel to learn more about that. And if you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season's over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started.
Thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen and helping the Locked On Podcast Network become the #1 sports podcast network. You already make us your team every day, so make it official and join the Everydayers Club. Goes a long way to helping us grow the show. We cannot thank you guys enough for following along on social media and subscribing on YouTube. The Everydayer Club will get you ad-free content right to wherever you already listen to Locked On Sens, and it is $5 USD a month, $50 USD per year. You can check out the 2 tiers available to you at lockedonsenators.supercast.com to learn more. All right, Billsy. So I'm going to go ahead and I would be lying if I said it. I was going to say I'm not watching the out-of-town scoreboard on Saturday, but I will.
I thought you were going to say tonight. I was like, yeah, Ross, you could probably take tonight off one game, Chicago versus St. Louis, I believe.
No, it's Chicago versus Columbus.
Oh, so we can't take it off. Dang it.
No nights off. And I did see that the Columbus Blue Jackets, by the way, the Senators are still the only team to beat the Columbus Blue Jackets under Rick Bowness. They're 6-1-0, and they've gained exactly 1 point in the standings over that standpoint.
Crazy.
Yeah, there's points going all over the place. A big reason for that, and we looked it up this morning. LOSB stats department was up early on a Friday morning, and the Eastern Conference this season has 208 wins against the Western Conference, 132 regulation losses, and 35 overtime losses. That's good for a .601% points percentage, which means they get 60% of the points. So it's just like ridiculous. You look at the divisional points percentages, that would be better than any individual division. So we need these Western Conference teams to just wake up. Please, just do us a favor. It doesn't help Ottawa's got the third worst points percentage of any Eastern Conference team against the West, and it's still over 50%, but it's just they're going up against some wagons this year, and Ottawa's going to have their opportunity to get back into this fight, most notably, and they don't play Boston again, but they do play a lot of Atlantic Division teams down the stretch. We've noted, right, Pillsy? Like right now, it feels like East versus West all over the place.
Yeah, that seems like, I don't know, the NHL schedule makers, they got all the East versus West into the month of January and even bleeding into the games in February before the Olympic break. But in turn, you got to look at that and be like, all right, we got all those out of the way. Now, after the Olympic break, it's going to be a lot more games up against divisional and conference rivals. And our guy Jack is on it here.
Jack's on it. He tweeted out remaining games against the Atlantic Division. The Senators have 3 games left against Toronto. And Toronto might even be selling. Like those games might be a little bit lesser of a roster you're going up against. But even if they are, bring it on. I mean, last year was a season sweep in the regular season. And the game they lost, that 7-5 loss, like that was a winnable game for Ottawa if they had goaltending in it.
Yeah, there were some other circumstances there too.
Yeah. And you look at Tampa, Detroit, and Florida. The Senators have 2 games each against those opponents, and they have another game against Montreal and another game against Buffalo. So Boston's the only team they're not playing again, and you're like, oh, shoot, because you're right behind Boston. The Bruins have the spot, but Ottawa did what they could against the Bruins this year. They went 3-0-1.
That's the thing, Ross. Like, I feel good about that, knowing like, hey, you already took care of that. It's like when you finish a task early on your chore list, and you're like, all right, that one we already did good on that one. Let's move on to the next year.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna have to do. But if you are into scoreboard watching, 14 games tomorrow in the NHL. Classic.
Crazy.
Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday league. We got here just the one game tonight, and you are hoping for a Chicago regulation win over Columbus. Then you've got more East versus West, Pillsy. And maybe this will be the day that Colorado does us a favor. They're in Detroit continuing their road trip. That's a matinee. So is the LA Kings visiting the Philadelphia Flyers. You've got the Winnipeg Jets going for revenge against the Florida Panthers in Florida. Then you've got the Carolina Hurricanes. We're hoping they beat the Washington Capitals. Obviously, we want the Senators to beat the Devils. You got St. Louis hosting Columbus, Vancouver hosting Toronto. Now, it's going to be a media bloodbath if the Vancouver Canucks win that game. That, to me, is like all systems go. And I know it's not the most important in terms of Ottawa climbing the standings, but just for the fallout of it, we are all Canucks. We are all Canucks.
Ross, shout out the Vancouver Canucks. They got a 2-0 win over the Anaheim Ducks yesterday. And our guys over at Locked On Canucks retweeted in the rink as the game was dying down the last 10 seconds, the Canucks fans chanting, "We want the cup. We want the cup." Like, that's just so good. So, I mean, we've been there. When you're just that down in the dumps, you just got to have fun and mess around. So the Canucks fans are at that point now. And I hope they get the Stanley Cup, Ross. Keep fighting.
Dude, speaking of our friends at Locked On Canucks, they have found a diamond in this upcoming draft.
Diamonds.
Twins. There are twins that are projected to go in the top 2 rounds. So collect as many picks as you need, Vancouver, because you guys have to get the twins.
They have to. I would be pissed if any other team drafted one of those guys. Like, just let the Canucks have this. They're the Twins team.
I honestly think that the Canucks fan base would be okay with reaching on both as long as they got them both.
You have to reach on both, Ross. You have to.
You have to get them. They're the Ruck twins. You can look them up. They play for the Medicine Hat Tigers, and they're really good players. This isn't like the Sens are getting Chandler Romeo and his twin brother. No disrespect to the 7th round pick for Ottawa, who's playing for the Allen Cup Senior Hockey League at 22 years old. But You're looking at like 2 really good players who have won a championship and are good. So let's hope the Canucks can get those 2 guys in the draft. What about Montreal, Buffalo? Sabres? I think we just have to accept the Sabres are an elite team.
Sabres.
Yeah. But regulation, please, for that one. So it'll go to like a 40-round shootout the way things are going. But the Senators are hosting the New Jersey Devils at 7 o'clock. One note, there will not be a live stream for the first time in a long time because Jack will be boots on the ground. So if you see Jack at the rink, make sure you let him know you appreciate the live streams. This guy is such an animal for Sens hockey, and we couldn't be more thrilled that he's a part of the crew.
Ross, you're going the wrong way about this. If you see Jack at the game, ask him where's his GoPro. Like, this guy should be wearing the snowboarder chest piece with the GoPro that sticks out in front of him. And I want him live streaming boots on the ground. Like, we got to keep this going. So, I mean, if there's one excuse to not live stream a hockey game because you're literally live at the hockey game, I guess it's okay.
Yeah, and I'll have the postcast for you. Jack says that he'll likely be joining me as well for a Boots on the Ground report. I want to open up the Sens Devils preview with a note from our friend Zach over at Locked On Devils. If Jack Hughes misses these last few games before the Olympics and then suits up in Milan like nothing happens, I don't know, man. That's a rough look. So that's where the Devils fan base is at right now.
Well, I'm glad, Ross, because there is a slice of this fan base that has the same kind of begrudging feeling towards some players and their Olympic teams and aspirations. So I'm glad it's not just here because it's a tough spot to be in, like especially here where you're a Canadian team and there's American USA Olympic players. So it's a weird predicament to be in when you've got a NHL team and Olympic team fandoms competing.
Everybody and people forgot how to deal with it because there was no crossover for so long.
Well, we got a taste of how to deal with it with the 4 nations. There was similar stuff going on with that, right?
Right, exactly. But it was like, at least it was still, not a gold medal on the line. And going into it, I think fans didn't realize how intense the players were going to take it, right? It was an all-star event and everything else. But as soon as it got going, you realize that this was for keeps. But even before that, like the World Cup of Hockey in 2016 was before the season. So it wasn't the same type of lead up to it. It was guys coming from summer. They went to that. They went to their training camps and away you go. So it's really an interesting circumstance. Pilsy, I even saw an Avalanche fan saying that about Nathan McKinnon, that he was dogging, no pun intended, dogging it before the Olympics. I was like, this guy leads the league in goals and points. Or second in points on McDavid? Are you serious?
I mean, must be nice to be an Avalanche fan if that's what's grinding your gears.
That grinded my gears seeing it, because I was like, what I would do for a Senator to have 38 tucks right now. We keep talking, and rightfully so. Like, this is to take nothing away from Tim Stützle's incredible season so far. He's got 24 goals. McKinnon has 14 more goals than him, and they're saying that he's not playing up to his standard. I mean, he has -6 with no points in his last 2 games. So, am I going back to that well on Saturday? Yes, I will be.
Why not?
McKinnon 2 points. Absolutely, I will, because I'm not buying the Olympic debate. But then you look at other players, like, just a side note, Canada has to put Celebrini in the top 6 to start that tournament, right? Like, this isn't like a 13th forward, you're the youngest guy. Like, he is incredible.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't start in the top 6, Ross, but he certainly has to play. Like, he can't be a healthy scratch.
Yeah. No. But you can dress 13 forwards, right? And 7 defensemen in international play.
What?
So you can have a 13th forward that's just like a power play specialist or whatever on the team.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. You can dress 20 players and 2 goalies. It'd be hilarious if you could dress 3 goalies. So you just had a buddy system as the backup.
Everybody takes a period.
That's hilarious. Dude, my top line, and we're basically turning into Locked On Team Canada once the Senators play their last game in Philadelphia on Thursday. McDavid with Celebrini and Crosby.
Yeah, that's literally big bro, middle bro, little bro.
I mean, and then you're freeing up McDavid on his own line. McDavid, Reinhart, and Marner as another line, or McDavid, Marner, and Stone. It's an embarrassment.
It's gonna be a good team.
And to the person who commented on our YouTube, Molecular Hub, guys, time to start a new podcast covering winners. Well, Locked On Team Canada sounds pretty good. They just win.
Yeah, we'll do the jersey swap, Ross. Yeah, we'll be wearing our Sens jersey. Peel it off, Team Canada.
I've actually got to get to 47 brand. People ask sometimes where we get our hats, and 47 brand's unreal for that. So I saw they got a sick Team Canada selection, so I might have to do a little shopping.
I gotta get some Team Canada stuff. I do not have a single Team Canada jersey, but it's because every year I'm like, okay, this is the year I'm gonna buy it, and then they release the jersey, and I'm like,
the red jerseys are sick. One of their jerseys are sick. Is it the black one or the red one?
Whatever one doesn't have the black leaf. I'm not a black leaf guy.
No. So I think it's the black, or no, it's the white jersey that I like.
It's the white, which
because it's the only jersey that's just white and red.
Yeah.
Others, I've never seen black in the Canadian flag before.
Now I think we have had people. I think the military uses the black maple leaf. I think that's what we had some people comment. But
okay, respect.
It's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing against that. It's just not my preferred look.
Yeah. Oh, man, Team Canada is going to be so much fun. But we got hockey before then. We'll actually preview the game next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way, and there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. I love how simple Quo makes everything. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number, so nothing gets missed. Everyone sees the full conversation thread, which makes replies faster and more personal. It works right from your phone or computer. You can even keep your existing number. And Quo's smart AI tools automatically log calls, summarize conversations, and highlight next steps, so details never slip through the cracks. Make this the opportunity where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnhl. That's QUO.com/lockedonnhl. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers.
All right, Pilsy, it is a weekend the Senators have to be ready to go for. The 25-21-7 Senators with a total of 57 points in the standings are taking on a New Jersey Devils team that has played one more game and has one more point than them. The Devils, though, like Montreal, they do a lot of their damage past regulation. They have 10 wins beyond regulation. So Ottawa's actually got 2 more regulation wins than the Devils, despite having fewer points and fewer overall wins in the standings. The Senators owe the Devils a good one because Devils already came into Ottawa and stole 2 points from them earlier on in this season. Crooker, I'm still pissed at you, buddy. He texted me after the game. He goes, sorry, I had to take the points back to New Jersey with us. Crooker's in Utica right now, but there are still Sens abroad littered throughout the Devils' bottom 6. Before we get to that, though, one more note from Sens practice. Ridley Gregg was not on the ice, but it was a maintenance day for him, so we are expecting him to be good to go for tomorrow's game. The records between these two teams are one thing, but you look into the numbers, and it's another story. Funny enough, Pilsy, after the last 2 games, the Senators' goals for and goals against per game are identical at 3.32. The Senators have a better shooting percentage than the Devils. The New Jersey's actually second last in the league at team shooting percentage, less than 9%. The Devils do get a little bit better goaltending than Ottawa as well. Power play is pretty equal, slightly in favor of Ottawa. Penalty kill goes to the Devils. Senators are the better team at 5-on-5. It is worth noting, though, Pilsy, usually the Corsi shot attempts at 5-on-5 and the expected goals percentage are pretty similar, usually within a percentage point. Like Ottawa's 53 at Corsi, 53.9 expected goals. But I found it pretty interesting that the Devils' shot attempts are much higher than their expected goals, which means that they're not getting to the dirty areas or the dangerous areas on the ice as much as they are just shooting from the point or from the sides.
Yeah, and that is surprising because that's a team that I always thought was good at doing that kind of thing, and they have so many elite players. Obviously, they've got some injuries they're dealing with, but you look at Hischier, Bratt, Timo Meier, Jack Hughes, like they've got these guys that should be able to get to better scoring opportunities and make the most of it.
Yeah, they can, and they have to. If you're Ottawa, not allow them to get to those dirty areas, and especially with the injuries that the Devils are dealing with. We'll get to those in just a moment. Senators, we expect them to line up pretty similarly to how they did against the Colorado Avalanche and Vegas Golden Knights. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Tim Stützle centering Claude Giroux and Drake Batherson. Dylan Cousins between Brady Tkachuk and Ridley Gregg. The checking line of Shane Pinto with Nick Cousins and Michael Amadio leaves a fourth line of Lars Eller with Xavier Bourgault and Fabian Zetterlund. This, of course, all dependent on whether or not Halliday comes in. You'd expect Xavier Bourgault to sit if that is the case. On the back end, Jake Sanderson with Artem Zub, Thomas Chabot with Nick Jensen, and Tyler Klevin with Jordan Spence. Still no update on the goalie. We'll assume it's either Reimer, likely, or Ullmark, hopefully. Pilsy, who's your locked-on player to watch?
My locked-on player is going to be Drake Batherson, Ross. Second on the team in points. However, he's been very quiet recently, and I'm not just talking about how he only has one assist in the last 5 games. And in those last 5 games, the Ottawa Senators have been putting up goals. Like they've got 12, 13, 16, 20 goals in those games, and he only has 1 assist there. So I really want to see Drake Batherson get back on the point parade that he was on recently. We know he can be a streaky guy, but not just that, Ross. I feel like I'm not noticing him. Like I'm not really seeing any plays that he's making. Like at the end of the game, I'm not like, oh, I was really hearing Batherson's name a lot, or he was in the mix. So I want to see him get going. And also, he's had a pretty good success up against the New Jersey Devils in his career. In 13 games, 8 goals, 6 assists, 14 points. So above a point per game guy up against the Devils in his career. So we've seen other guys turn it around. Greg, obviously Timmy keeps it going. Brady's been consistent. Sanderson too. You need your second top point getter to get back in the mix here.
Man, one of my favorite boots on the ground memories with you was Batherson's OT winner.
Yes.
New Jersey, 3 years ago? That was such a sick goal. He undressed Ty Smith and then put it in overtime in that game. My locked-on player, I wanted to be Linus Ullmark. Of course, we don't have confirmation that he's in. So I'm going to go back to the well of who had the best game against the Colorado Avalanche. Nick Cousins, man.
Yes.
Nick Cousins is going to be my locked-on player to watch.
Go.
This guy finally gets an opportunity, and he did move up the lineup a little bit earlier on in the season, but he's been stapled to that fourth line of late where he's playing about 10, 12 minutes, sometimes under 10 in certain games over the last couple of months. But his ice time in the last 2 games has skyrocketed, and his play has gone along with it. He's been just such a buzzsaw. We know he's a really undercover smart hockey player. He's really good on the forecheck and getting his stick involved and positionally defensively. He's not the let's say fastest guy on the ice, but he's really smart in terms of getting into lanes. And I think he could have a big impact on this game in 12, 14, 15 minutes. He played almost 17 minutes in the game against the Avalanche.
Season high ice time, Ross.
And guess what his season high was before that? The game before that against Vegas.
Yep.
He hadn't played more than 14 and a half minutes in a single game before the last 2. Then he goes 15 and then 16, 44. So I'm looking for Nick Cousins here to be a momentum hounding player in this game against the Devils.
I like it, Ross. Momentum hounding player.
Let's do it with Nick Cousins. All right, on the other side, it is the New Jersey Devils, and this is all to be decided without Jack Hughes in their lineup as we are projecting. It would be Dawson Mercer between Timo Meier and Jesper Bratt. It would be Hischier with Artemi Griciak and Hamineko. I'm butchering that. Apologies, Pilsy. You did your Finnish scouting trips, and you don't even know who this kid is. But he's got 4 points in 6 games since being called up. He was a second-round pick in the 2023 draft. You've got Paul Cotter centering Sens abroad, Evgeny Dadonov, and Connor Brown. And the fourth line is Glendening, Lamico, and newly acquired forward Maxim Tsiplikov. On the back end, it's Jonas Siegenthaler with Johnny Kovacevic. It's Brett Pesce with Dougie Hamilton and Brendan Dillon with Simon Nemec. In goal, it's either going to be Jacob Markstrom or Jake Allen. Jake Allen has played a lot better than Jacob Markstrom this season, but you got to think they want to get Markstrom going. They've signed him to a contract extension that hasn't even kicked in yet, and fans are wondering aloud on social media if you can buy out a contract before it starts. That's where it's at with Markstrom right now in New Jersey. This leaves a pretty star-studded injury list from Jack Hughes to Luke Hughes, both out. Cody Glass has had a nice season for New Jersey before being injured. And then another pair of Sens abroad, Stefan Nason and Zach McEwen. Pilsy, who's your lookout player to watch?
My lookout player to watch is going to be number 7, Dougie Hamilton. This has been an interesting story, Ross, following Dougie Hamilton, because at the start of the year, let's go from, I've got Hockey Reference open here. Let's go from the start of the year all the way to, what date did I choose? January 8th. Okay. That's 40 games. He had 10 points in those 40 games. So the New Jersey Devils were looking at him and thinking, okay, maybe things just aren't going to work for Dougie Hamilton in New York anymore. I mean, he's making $9 million and he's not producing, only 10 points in 40 games. So they start letting people know Dougie Hamilton is available. He's on the trade block. They healthy scratch him for the next game up against the Winnipeg Jets. Since being healthy scratched, Ross, he has a point in all 9 games, and he has 9 points in those 9 games. So, like, he's kind of gone scorched earth since being healthy scratch and being told you're on the trade block. So he's someone that the Ottawa Senators are really going to have to look out for. He also scored a goal in the last game up against the Nashville Predators. So that's a guy. I know they don't have Luke Hughes, but do not forget about how good Dougie Hamilton is.
And don't forget about how good Nico Hischier is. He's my lookout player to watch, and especially without Jack Hughes. He stepped up big and had a ridiculous snipe in overtime last night against the Nashville Predators to win that game. And he is a prototypical 200-foot player. When you're looking at Hischier, he's the captain of this team, and he's a stud. And he hasn't had the same season that he had in the last really 4, maybe 3. He did have 60 points. He's on pace for about that this season. But man, when this guy gets going, he's a real handful. He's great in the face-off dot. In the last 3 seasons, he's clicking at 55.8% in the face-off dot, and he's almost a point per game player over the last 4 seasons. And he's just a guy where when you're looking at this Devils team, there's not a whole lot that really scares me. Timo Meier's been hit or miss this year. Jesper Bratt's a good player, and I feel like he always plays well against Ottawa, but Nico Hischier is the guy that you have to be able to bear down on. But the thing with the Devils, Pills, is they don't really have that one line that really is front and center. I guess if you replace Mercer,
that top line's pretty good.
It's pretty good, but this isn't a game where I need Shane Pinto's line against a certain trio.
Yeah, maybe you would. Well, actually, no, I'll disagree, because that top line is so much better than any of the other 3. Like, it is clear that that's the one line you got to take care of. Like,
I guess I don't know if I'm understanding.
Line doesn't scare me at all. That third line is a very third line. Extra lookout player, Ross. Evgeny Dadonov has 0 goals in 15 games this season, so that makes me a little bit nervous.
But you look at that line, Pills, and like I get it that Jack Hughes has missed a lot of time, but like Timo Meier is -18, team worst, and Jesper Bratt's -15, second worst on the team. Like I would almost say give the Timmy line that assignment and make them play on their heels.
Yeah, no, that's not a bad call. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. We really praise Travis Green's ability to line match up against the Colorado Avalanche. So we'll see how he decides to play chess with Sheldon Keefe here.
Yeah, because you're looking at that Pinto line, and Jack did a great video breakdown. You can check it out on Twitter at Sens Central. But where like they were defending the whole time, and sure they defended in the offensive zone, but it was always about being above the puck, closer to your zone. Don't let them get odd man rushes. And I'm looking at this Devils line. I'm saying I think you want to kind of press them and make them defend, make them be the guys who are trying to contain Tim Stützle throughout this game. So it'll be a fun chess match to watch, though, and we'll see if we get the battle of two underperforming Swedish goalies this season, two guys who feel like they should have been in competition for the starter's job on Team Sweden, and instead, no, that ain't the case. And you can thank Sens Abroad Philip Gustafsson for helping make that an easy decision. It's going to be a big game, though, for Ottawa. They have to be able to press and make sure that they are dictating the play offensively. My key to victory is don't be on your heels at all. Be on your toes all game long, forecheck, and make sure that you are putting everything on goal against this Devils team, because they're a bit of a fragile group right now. They got to see guys get traded outside of the room, and that had to be something that weighs on you when you're looking around and saying, yeah, Palat was underperforming, but he's still a leader in that locker room. I think that it's like the old Matt Duchene, the kick in the nuts when they put Zach Smith on waivers. Probably feels a little bit like that for this Devils team right now. So try to jump out to an early lead against them and don't let off the gas.
Yeah, that's I'm with you. Like, you just showed you could beat teams like Colorado and Vegas.
Yeah, don't fall back down to earth against a team around you.
That's the thing. Those are teams you weren't expected to beat. Do not fall back on your principles, or do fall back on your principles. Either way, don't play down to the New Jersey Devils. Is
funny. Don't play down to a team that's ahead of you in the standings.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. All right, Pillsy, final thoughts on today's show?
I have a couple final thoughts. First is big weekend for your Belleville Senators.
Big.
2 games in Cleveland up against the Cleveland Monsters. And the Cleveland Monsters they just passed the Belleville Senators to take that 5th and final playoff spot in the North Division. Only 4 games in hand now for the Monsters, but they're 1 point ahead now. You have to win both of these games, in my opinion. So it's going to be a massive one for the Cleveland, for the Belleville Senators up against the Cleveland Monsters. And final thought, Ross, life is life.
Life is life. Nah, 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 nah. Hey, yeah, that's awesome. Hopefully, life is good this weekend for the Ottawa Senators. We'll give you updates throughout the day tomorrow at Sens Central. For today, we say goodbye. Thanks so much for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with the show. Please subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan, and this has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.